if I told you that the universe is constantly speaking to you? Not through words, but through the quiet hum of feelings you often ignore. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly sensed tension, even though everyone smiled? Or felt uneasy around someone without any logical reason? We call these sensations gut feelings or vibes, but they're more than folklore. They're subtle energy signals your body reads before your mind catches up. Let me tell you something, energy never lies. Have you ever heard the saying, trust your gut? It's rooted in ancient wisdom and backed by modern science. Our bodies pick up signals, micro-expressions, tone of voice, heart rhythms, long before we consciously understand what they mean. These feelings are not random, they are messages. Yet, many of us dismiss them, choosing logic over intuition. We rationalize red flags, ignore warning signs, and then wonder why life feels off. What if ignoring these signals is quietly sabotaging your relationships, decisions, and well-being? In this video, we'll explore the science and philosophy of energy, intuition, and emotional resonance. We'll dive into theories from Antonio Damasio's somatic marker hypothesis to Carl Jung's concept of the shadow, and even the ancient idea that everything vibrates at a certain frequency. By the end, you may discover that believing what you feel could be the missing key to a fuller, more authentic life. Imagine life as a symphony. Each person, experience, and environment emits a frequency, a unique note. These frequencies interact with yours, creating harmony or dissonance. The ancients knew this. In Eastern philosophy, QI refers to the vital energy flowing through everything. Indigenous cultures speak of medicine, not as drugs, but as the unseen power each being carries. In the modern world, we dismiss these ideas as mystical or unscientific, yet psychology and neuroscience are catching up. Antonio Damasio proposed the somatic marker hypothesis. Emotions and bodily sensations guide our decision-making by marking certain memories and experiences with positive or negative feelings. When you feel uneasy about something, your body is referencing past experiences stored deep in the nervous system. This isn't superstition, it's biology. Harvard studies on interoception, the ability to sense internal bodily states, show that people who are more attuned to their heart rate, breathing, and gut feelings make better decisions. Your body is constantly receiving information. These signals are like an internal compass, pointing you toward or away from certain paths. Philosophy adds another layer. Carl Jung believed that feelings are facts. He argued that the unconscious communicates through emotions and images, guiding us toward wholeness. Nietzsche wrote about amor fati, the love of one's fate, suggesting that embracing one's feelings, even the uncomfortable ones, is a path to authenticity. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, encourage people to observe their feelings without judgment and learn from them. In everyday life, we often override these signals. Social conditioning teaches us to prioritize rational thought. We're told to think logically, to be reasonable, to give people the benefit of the doubt. While logic is vital, ignoring your energy, your feelings, is like turning off your senses. Imagine ignoring your eyesight because someone told you to trust only your hearing. You would miss half the world. The same happens when you dismiss your intuition. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt a subtle discomfort around someone but stayed in the friendship anyway? When did you ignore the excitement that bubbled up over a new idea because it seemed impractical? These moments accumulate. Over time, ignoring your energy can lead to a life that doesn't feel like yours. You may achieve success on paper but feel unfulfilled, anxious, or numb. This video will explore why energy never lies, how feelings reveal truths logic can't see, and how you can hone your intuitive compass. We'll uncover what happens when you betray your gut, how your shadow colors your perception of others, and how to harness your own energy for authentic living. Prepare to journey through science, philosophy, and metaphor. Because feelings aren't just fleeting mood swings, they are the language of your soul. Think of two tuning forks. If you strike one and place it near the other, the second begins to vibrate at the same frequency, a phenomenon called resonance. Humans resonate too. Our hearts and brains emit electromagnetic fields detectable several feet away. The Heart Math Institute has shown that when two people interact, their heart rhythms can synchronize. This isn't pseudoscience, it's measurable energy. Enter mirror neurons, cells in our brains that fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else doing it. Mirror neurons help us read intentions and emotions. When you feel someone's sadness or joy, it's not imagination, it's neural resonance. Psychologist Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory explains how our autonomic nervous system constantly scans our environment for safety or threat. We pick up subtle cues in tone of voice, body posture, and facial micro-expressions. These cues generate feelings in our bodies, telling us whether a situation or person is safe. That bad vibe is your nervous system doing its job. Metaphorically, imagine yourself as an antenna. You pick up radio signals, some static, some music. If you tune in carefully, you hear the message. But if you're distracted or dismiss the static as meaningless, you miss the broadcast entirely. Your body broadcasts and receives energy constantly. When someone enters a room with anger they haven't expressed, you feel it like static. When someone radiates joy, you feel uplifted. The consequence of ignoring this energy is misalignment. You may surround yourself with draining people or remain in environments that stifle you because you ignore the static your body picks up. Over time, this misalignment leads to burnout, anxiety, and a sense of being out of tune with yourself. We've all had moments when we knew something was wrong but ignored it. You might have stayed in a job because it looked good on paper but felt like wearing someone else's clothes. Or you entered a relationship despite a lingering unease because the person checked all the logical boxes. Cognitive dissonance theory explains that we experience psychological discomfort when our actions don't align with our beliefs or feelings. To reduce dissonance, we often change our beliefs or ignore our feelings rather than change our actions. In doing so, we betray our gut. Antonio Damasio's research on patients with damage to the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for integrating emotion into decision-making, shows that without emotions, people struggle to make even simple choices. One patient spent hours deciding what to eat because he weighed every logical factor equally. Emotions, or somatic markers, help us prioritize and decide. When you ignore your gut, you lose this guidance. Think of your intuition as a compass. It points north, your true direction. When you ignore it, you wander. If you constantly choose against your feelings, you end up far from your intended destination. Over time, you may feel lost, asking, "How did I get here?" The consequence of betraying your gut is losing your sense of self. People often tell stories of waking up in midlife, realizing they built careers, marriages, or identities that never felt right. Regret isn't about failing, it's about ignoring your inner truth. Jung wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain. Pain is often the signal you need to listen to something deeper. If you ignore discomfort by choosing what's reasonable, you delay the pain. It resurfaces later as depression, anxiety, or physical illness. Believing what you feel, even if it seems illogical, is a radical act of self-trust." This chapter isn't suggesting impulsivity. It's about honoring your inner wisdom alongside logic. Energy never lies, but the lens through which you perceive it can distort. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow explains that the qualities we disown or repress in ourselves project outward onto others. If you deny your anger, you might perceive everyone else as hostile. If you deny your own neediness, you may see others as clingy. Your energy is colored by your shadow. You might misinterpret someone else's vibe because your own unacknowledged feelings overlay theirs. Psychology calls this projection. We see our own traits, especially the ones we dislike, in others. This can skew our intuitive reading of energy. You may feel uneasy around someone, not because they are unsafe, but because they mirror a part of yourself you don't accept. To trust your energy fully, you must integrate your shadow. This means acknowledging uncomfortable emotions, jealousy, anger, vulnerability, fear. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Metaphorically, imagine wearing tinted glasses. If your glasses are red, everything appears red. You might think the world is angry or dangerous when, in truth, your lens is colored. The consequence of ignoring your shadow is misreading energy. You may cut off good relationships because they trigger unresolved issues. Or you might miss red flags because you're blinded by your own projections. Working with your shadow isn't easy. It requires honesty and compassion. Practices like journaling, therapy, and meditation help you notice recurring themes in your reactions. When you feel a strong emotion towards someone, ask, is this about them or something within me? As you integrate your shadow, your energy becomes clearer, like a glass of water settling after sediment is stirred. You'll trust your feelings more because you know they aren't distorted by unacknowledged parts of yourself. If energy never lies, how do you listen? It starts with slowing down. Modern life is fast, filling every moment with noise. Silence is where you hear your intuition. Mindfulness practices, focusing on your breath, body sensations, and surroundings, strengthen interoception. Studies show that people who meditate have increased gray matter density in areas related to emotional regulation and self-awareness. When you regularly check in with your body, you become fluent in its language. Somatic practices like body scans and yoga help you notice tension, excitement, or heaviness. Emotional energy often manifests physically. Anxiety might feel like tightness in your chest. Joy might feel like warmth. Tracking these sensations helps you decode what they mean. The next step is trusting and acting on them. When your body says yes, but your mind says no, pause and investigate. Ask yourself why you're resisting. Developing emotional intelligence also requires setting boundaries. Not all energy is good for you. If someone consistently drains you, it's okay to limit time with them, even if logic says you should be friends. Trusting your feelings helps you make healthier choices. You become less vulnerable to manipulation because you notice subtle shifts in energy when someone is lying or hiding something. Finally, remember that your energy affects others too. When you're aligned with your true feelings, you radiate authenticity. People feel safe around you because your energy is clear. This attracts relationships and opportunities that resonate with who you are. It's a feedback loop. Trusting your energy draws in aligned energy, reinforcing your trust. The consequence of harnessing this power is living in harmony with yourself and your environment. You may leave behind people and situations that no longer fit, but you'll create space for those that do. Picture a time when you ignored your gut and later regretted it. Maybe you felt uneasy taking a job, but the salary was good. You convinced yourself it was the right decision because it aligned with your goals on paper. Yet, 6 months in, you dreaded Mondays. Or imagine staying in a relationship because you didn't want to hurt the other person, even though your body felt heavy whenever you saw them. You rationalized, they haven't done anything wrong, I should be happy. Eventually, the relationship ended painfully. These stories are common because we're trained to prioritize logic over feeling. This is the emotional climax, the realization that ignoring your feelings costs more than discomfort. It costs you authenticity, time, and sometimes health. Antonio Damasio's research highlights that patients who can't feel emotions due to brain damage struggle to make good choices. Without feelings guiding us, we're lost in a sea of equal pros and cons. Emotions aren't obstacles to rationality. They're essential to wisdom. Nietzsche said, "There is more reason in your body than in your best wisdom." This quote underscores a truth. Your body knows things your mind hasn't caught up with. Close your eyes and sense your heart beating. It's been beating since before you were born, with no conscious effort. It pulses with energy, sending signals throughout your body. The heart's electrical field is 60 times stronger than the brain's. When you feel someone's energy, you may literally be feeling their heart's rhythm interacting with yours. Think about a hug. When you hug someone for more than 20 seconds, your heart rhythms synchronize, oxytocin is released, and you feel calm. That's energy. Now, consider your shadow. What emotions do you avoid? Anger, jealousy, vulnerability? Imagine them as children locked in a basement. They want to be heard. When you ignore them, they pound the floor. You feel the vibration above, anxiety, restlessness, but you don't know why. When you finally open the door and embrace them, the pounding stops. Your energy becomes still, clear, and trustworthy. The somatic marker hypothesis shows that feelings associated with past experiences help you avoid dangers and seek rewards. Imagine touching a hot stove as a child. The pain leaves a somatic marker. Later, even if you forget the incident, your body flinches when you approach the stove. Similarly, if you felt betrayed, your body remembers the energy of betrayal. When you meet someone with a similar vibe, your gut tells you to be cautious. This isn't paranoia, it's wisdom encoded in your nervous system. The emotional climax invites you to reframe feelings not as irrational, but as intelligent. Think of your intuition as a living library filled with experiential knowledge. When you feel a subtle pull towards something, it's your body referencing the library, saying, "This feels like safety, joy, growth." When you feel a knot in your stomach, it's whispering, "This feels like the past pain." Ignoring these cues is like burning books. You lose information and keep making the same mistakes. The energy you emit also influences your life's path. If you radiate desperation, you attract situations that mirror scarcity. If you cultivate calm, you draw in peaceful experiences. This isn't mystical law of attraction, it's basic psychology. Humans seek and respond to cues of safety or threat. When your energy is scattered or anxious, others feel it and mirror it. When your energy is grounded, people trust you. At the climax, we recognize that feelings are not just internal experiences, but relational ones. When you ignore your energy, you aren't just betraying yourself, you're sending mixed signals to the world. You might smile while your body contracts. Others sense the contraction and feel uneasy, though they don't know why. Authenticity is alignment. Your words, actions, and energy match. When that happens, you feel at peace. Others feel safe. Life flows. We began with the question, what if the universe is speaking to you through the quiet hum of feelings? Throughout this exploration, we've seen that energy never lies. The science of vibes shows that our hearts and brains resonate with those around us. The somatic marker hypothesis and interoception studies prove that feelings guide decision-making. Cognitive dissonance warns what happens when we betray our gut. Jung's shadow reminds us that unintegrated parts distort how we perceive others. And emotional intelligence practices teach us to harness our feelings for better choices. The transformation happens when you stop viewing feelings as inconvenient or irrational and start seeing them as teachers. The next time you feel uneasy around someone, don't dismiss it because they seem nice. Listen, investigate. The next time you feel excited about an opportunity, even if it seems risky, honor that excitement. Ask yourself why it lights you up. When anger arises, instead of pushing it down, ask what boundary has been crossed. Your energy is a compass. Practically, begin a daily check-in. Pause for a few minutes and scan your body. Notice areas of tension or warmth. Name the feelings without judgment. Journal about times you ignored or followed your gut. What were the outcomes? Seek to integrate your shadow. When someone triggers you, instead of labeling them toxic, ask what part of you is being reflected. As you do this work, you'll trust your energy more because you'll know it's not distorted by unresolved emotions. Remember, your energy influences your environment. When you align with your feelings, you radiate authenticity. The right people and opportunities resonate with you. The wrong ones fall away. not because you push them out, but because mismatched frequencies simply don't stick. It's like tuning a radio. When you dial into the right frequency, the music is clear. When you're off, there's only static. Let's circle back to our opening idea. The universe speaks to you through feelings. Those sensations are whispers of truth. Ignore them and live in static. Believe them, and you tune into a life that feels like yours. There will still be challenges. Energy doesn't promise an easy path, only an authentic one. But authenticity brings peace, meaning, and resilience. And when was the last time you ignored your energy and regretted it? Share your stories in the comments. Let's learn from one another how to trust the language of our souls. Because in the end, energy never lies. And believing what you feel might be the most honest, courageous act you can take. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe so I will make more video like this. Thank you for watching.